Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today.
Yeah, jumping right into it, huh?
Right into it. The Brooklyn Park plane crash. Saturday, March 29th, 2025. So much to unpack.
A lot to cover, yeah. Lots of news reports coming out, timelines being put together, and I know there's a lot of questions out there.
Definitely a lot of questions. That's what we're here to do right now. Go past just those headlines you see. What's the story? What happened?
Get down to the essentials, figure out what we know so far, at least what we can piece together from everything that's come out.
Okay, so where do we even begin? I mean, this plane, a SOCATA TBM700.
A single-engine aircraft.
Right, and those are usually for, like, business travel,
Yeah.
right? You know, it's known for being pretty fast and having good range, carries a small group. But it started its day all the way down in Naples, Florida.
Huh. Quite a trip.
Long way. And then it gets to Des Moines International Airport in Iowa, around 10:30 a.m. Central Time.
Okay.
But it didn't stay there long. I mean,
Right.
took off again at 11:12 a.m., headed to Anoka County-Blaine Airport.
That's north of Minneapolis, right? I saw that in one of the reports.
Exactly, north of Minneapolis. They were supposed to land somewhere between 12:11 and 12:28 p.m.
So that last part of the trip, Des Moines to Minneapolis, about 280 miles. That's where it happened.
Tragically, yeah. It makes you wonder about that stop in Des Moines, doesn't it? Why even stop there? I mean, this type of aircraft, the TBM700, they can fly a pretty good distance.
Yeah, for sure. Was it just refueling, or maybe they were picking someone up or dropping someone off? Who knows?
So many possibilities. And the crash itself. It happened about 12:20 p.m. Central Time, right near 109th Avenue North and Noble Parkway. In Brooklyn Park, I would think about it. They were so close to landing. Only about 6 minutes away from the earliest they could have gotten there.
6 minutes. Wow.
And you know what gets me? The plane hit a house.
Yeah.
And the house caught fire. I mean, can you imagine?
It's just scary to think about. Terrifying.
For everyone involved.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Everyone in that house, they got out. Safe. No injuries.
Oh, thank goodness. There was even a neighbor who was saying maybe they were on vacation. Maybe the house was empty. I don't know.
Really? It does make you think, though. What if they were on vacation? Does that change how fast people responded? Would they have even known anyone was in the house at first? I don't know.
That's a good point. So many what-ifs in these situations.
So many. But the Brooklyn Park police and fire departments, they were there fast.
Sounds like it.
The fire chief, Shawn Conway, he gave a press conference that afternoon, and he confirmed it. You know, no survivors from the plane. Tragic. But he made sure to say the people in the house were safe. That's the good news, at least. He said when they got to the house, it was completely engulfed in flames. They couldn't even see any plane debris.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He said they'd have more information later that night, though. So we know the local people were there right away.
Right.
But what about, like, the federal agencies?
They jumped right in, too. The FAA, they were the ones who said it was a SOCATA TBM700 that crashed, and that they were going to investigate with the National Transportation Safety Board.
The NTSB, yeah.
Makes sense. That's usually how these things work. The NTSB takes the lead. Big accidents like this.
And then we heard from the governor, Tim Walz, and the mayor of Brooklyn Park, Hollis Winston. They both said how sorry they were and thanked everyone who responded so quickly, you know, the first responders. And Mayor Winston, he even thanked the governor for saying the state would help out and told everyone in Brooklyn Park that they'd get all the support they need. You know, that kind of coming together.
Yeah.
You always see it when something like this happens.
Yeah, it is kind of remarkable, this community coming together right away.
It really is. And then there's the NTSB. They were supposed to have investigators there by Sunday, right on site, to see the wreckage and the crash site. It's important to get there quick.
Oh, absolutely. Gotta secure that evidence before it's gone. It can disappear fast in these situations.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about the plane itself for a minute. We know it was a SOCATA TBM700. Sometimes people just call it a TBM7. Like we said, single-engine turboprop business aircraft. Supposed to be really reliable, good for carrying people, up to 6, including the pilot.
6 people, huh? And it was registered to this company called DGW Enterprises. They're based in Edina, Minnesota.
Edina, okay. And the flight path, well, it's pretty straightforward. Naples to Des Moines, and then that last leg to Anoka County-Blaine Airport. And you know, it's funny, one report just called the destination an airport north of Minneapolis, which it is.
Right. Anoka County-Blaine, definitely north of Minneapolis. 280 miles from Des Moines. A plane like that, the TBM700, could probably do it in a little over an hour.
Yeah, hour and a half tops, maybe. Which makes you think about that stop in Des Moines again. Only 45 minutes on the ground. They must have been refueling or quickly switching passengers? I don't know.
It's a puzzle.
And then there's the question of who was even on the plane. We know there were no survivors, but how many people? Who were they? The pilot? Passengers? We don't have those answers yet.
Not yet, no. But at least we know the people in the house are okay. That's something.
Absolutely something. A huge relief.
Mm.
Okay, so now the investigation is being led by the NTSB, and the FAA is helping out. They're going to look into everything.
Oh, yeah, this is the big one. Leave no stone unturned. They want to figure out exactly why this happened.
Exactly. They'll look at the pilot's experience, how many hours they've flown, the plane's maintenance records, were there any problems with the plane before, the weather too, was it stormy, windy, anything that could have affected the flight. And if the plane had any data recorders, those black boxes, they'll look at those too. Anything to help them figure out what went wrong. The fact that the NTSB is already sending investigators, it shows just how seriously they're taking this.
No kidding. These investigations are intense. They take their time, but that's what they do. They figure out the cause of the accident, everything that played a part in it, and all those statements and press conferences from the fire chief, the governor, the mayor. It's important.
Yeah, keeps everyone informed, lets everyone know what's going on.
Exactly. And that they're all working together. It's a coordinated response. And, we even heard from Des Moines International Airport, a quick statement from Sarah Hooger, just acknowledging the incident, really, but saying they wouldn't comment further since the NTSB is leading the investigation.
Makes sense. They don't want to step on anyone's toes.
Right. They know the NTSB is the one calling the shots here.
And you know this crash. It happened only a day after that near miss near Reagan National Airport. A Delta plane and a military aircraft almost collided.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard about that.
It's crazy, right? But the reports say the two incidents aren't related at all. It just makes you think about aviation safety in general, though.
Yeah.
Especially with everything happening so close together.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think. And remember that mid-air collision in January? Also near Reagan National? It was the deadliest crash involving a U.S. airline since November 2001. That's a long time.
A long time. And while these incidents are all separate, it does make you wonder about air safety overall. You know the systems we have in place to prevent these kinds of things. It sparks that conversation.
A very important conversation, for sure.
And we have some statistics here, too. General aviation accidents. So far this year, there have been 153 accidents, and 23 of those were fatal.
23? That's a lot.
It is. And last year, during the same time period, 286 accidents with 50 fatalities.
So it seems like it might be getting a little better. Maybe?
It's hard to say for sure. It's still early in the year, but it gives you an idea, right? A snapshot. But again, the Brooklyn Park crash, it's not connected to that near miss in D.C. They're separate events.
Separate events, separate investigations. It's important to remember that. And it's tempting to try and connect them to make sense of it all, but we have to let the investigators do their job. Figure out what happened in each case. Those broader statistics. They give us the big picture, but they don't tell us the whole story for each specific incident. Exactly. Each one is unique. Okay, so what don't we know yet? Well, we still don't know exactly how many people were on the plane or who they were. And the biggest question, what caused the crash? That's what the NTSB is trying to find out.
Yeah.
And these investigations, they take time, they're thorough.
Yeah, it's not a quick process. They have to be. It's important. They're dealing with people's lives here.
Absolutely. So let's wrap this up. Here's what we know. A SOCATA TBM700. A single-engine business aircraft, registered to a company in Edina, Minnesota, crashed into a house in Brooklyn Park, Saturday, March 29th, flew from Naples, Florida, stopped in Des Moines, Iowa, and was headed to Anoka County-Blaine Airport just north of Minneapolis. No survivors from the plane, but the people in the house got out safely. That's the good news. And the NTSB is investigating the crash to figure out what caused it.
And it's important to keep those other recent aviation safety concerns in mind, that near miss in D.C. and that mid-air collision earlier this year. Even though they're not directly related to what happened in Brooklyn Park, these things bring up bigger questions about how we keep air travel safe, how complex it all is. Right. And we'll keep following the investigation as it unfolds. More updates will come out. We'll be here to break them down for you.
We will, but this brings up an interesting thought for you, our listeners. Air travel. It's amazing. So much technology. So many people working to make sure it's safe. Air traffic control, pilots, mechanics. But then there's the weather, and things can still go wrong. So I'm curious, what part of air safety worries you the most? What do you think about when you hear about these kinds of incidents? It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We put so much trust in this system, but it's not perfect.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
We'll be back next time with another deep dive. Thanks for listening.
See you then.